and we all live in love. Guyana is a beautiful country, no other can compare. Got everything right here, so no other can compare. Guyana is made up of so many natural resources. We don't need no forces, cause we got enough resources. Let's talk about bauxite, gold, diamond, and rice. We got it right here. Guyana ain't going nowhere. We got enough oil too. One Guyana, I love Guyana. Guyana, my country, my home. The only place I call home. One Guyana, I love Guyana. Guyana, my country, my home. The only place I call home. Hey, hey, Guyana is nice, Guyana is fun, Guyana is clean, Guyana is green, Guyana got oil, Guyana got gold, Guyana got young and Guyana got old. I ain't talking no more. Guyana got things, we growing wings and developing things. The government real and that's a big deal. I'm singing from my heart, Guyana. I love Guyana. Guyana, my country, my home. The only place I call home. One Guyana, I love Guyana. Guyana, my country, my home. The only place I call home. Welcome to Guyana, land of 6 races, 6 different faces, and we all live in love. Guyana is a beautiful country, no other can compare. Got everything right here, so no other can compare. Guyana is made up of so many natural resources. We don't need no forces, cause we got enough resources. Let's talk about bauxite, gold, diamond, and rice. We got it right here. Guyana ain't going nowhere. We got enough oil too. One Guyana, I love Guyana. Guyana, my country, my home. The only place I call home. One Guyana, I love Guyana. Guyana, my country, my home. The only place I call home.
We are a peaceful people, struggle as we struggle, and we don't look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one grass, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know. We're gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow, but never break. Our fathers came here, and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere, make no mistake. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one grass, not a blade of grass.
We love the open county of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, daytime or night. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right.
We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one grass, not a blade of grass. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that peaceful people. Struggle as we struggle, and we don't look for trouble.
Hey, yo, my G, where you from?
Guyana.
Ghana?
No, Guyana. Yeah. Hello, Wagwan. Yeah. I came from a land. It have many water, many great sons and many daughters. And we have the land, yo, where many ask for. We never see Katrina, nah, those disaster. I feel nice, we come from the golden city. Girl born in gold dust, so we show them pretty. The man full of faith, me nah know none must slippy. Guyana, me say big up on no city. Cause this is the dear land of the free, land of the many waters, resources and trees, land of the rivers and seas. I proud, Phoebe, Guyanese, land of the Amerindians, the Africans, the East Indians, and Portuguese, not to mention the Europeans and the Chinese. Them feel blessed from Guyana beach breeze. Cause enough people tour around the world and ask about Guyana, but don't know where that is. That is the last city of El Dorado in the world. That is the land where we live. Land of the biggest one-drop falls. Plus we have the longest floating bridge. We from South America, some say the Caribbean, but still a thanks we a give. Alright, 1, 2, mic check. View from gravity, are the nicest. Match time, my city. At the hypest, we see them gyal wine up in a some liquor tight dress. We are hustle from morning till night catch. Them finno Guyanese get a youth not like rest. House and car, them finno we like press. Check the bank line them. We not like check. We got gold and diamond, them thing priceless. Timber bauxite, then check the aisle next. GDF, Miami is the finest. I mean I talk about the sugar, nor the rice yet. So a marshal, I drop the Guyanese bomb. For feed the nation, that's the Guyanese plan. Big up a kilo, them with them Guyanese land. Guyana, that's where them Guyanese from. People tour around the world and ask about Guyana, but don't know where that is. That is the last city of El Dorado in the world. That is the land where we live. Land of the biggest one-drop falls. Plus we have the longest floating bridge. We from South America, some say the Caribbean, but still at times we get. I came from a land, it have many water, many great sons and many daughters. Is we have the land, what many ask for, we never see Katrina or nah, those disaster. I feel nice, we come from the golden city. Girl born in gold dust, so we show them pretty. The man full of faith, we nah know none must slippy. Guyana, we say big up on no city. Enough people tour around the world and ask about Guyana, but don't know where that is. That is the last city of El Dorado in the world. That is the land where we live. Land of the biggest one-drop falls. Plus we have the longest floating bridge. We from South America, some say the Caribbean, but still a thanks we a give. Hello, Wagwan. I the nuclear family, hey master, one up fully. A one-time records, a 592, we think them. Hello, Wagwan.
Hey, yo, my G, where you from?
Guyana.
Ghana?
No, Guyana. Yeah. Hello, Wagwan. Yeah. I came from a land. It have many water, many great sons and many daughters. And we have the land, yo, where many ask for. We never see Katrina, nah, those disaster. I feel nice, we come from the gold.
Nobody not selling out. We talking facts. Facts we dealing with. Nobody not selling out. We talking facts. I been to Guyana, man. I have to go back. The way out the country looking, man, they left me shocked. Who's ever in charge? Them put we on the map. The men them look healthy. The girls them look hot. I went to a meeting. I don't know if it's chicken curry. Them Guyanese eating, man. The government walk. The government walking. 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 This one's for them haters. For them haters who attacking Guyana. Guyana, show them your little finger. Little finger, show them your little finger. Little finger, show them the 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 little finger. government working, working. The government working, the government working, the government working, the government working, working, the government working. Don't mix me with politics. I use the Guyanese critics. I just want the country fix. Man, I come for some kicks. Can leave the bumper fake. We call it a camera trick. And if you rest it on me, I still giving it some licks. The government working, the government working, the government working, the government working, working, the government working, the government working, the government working, the government working, working, the government working, the government working, the government working, the government working, working, the government. This is for the hater, for the hater. This is for the hater. We're running down Guyana. For the hater, for the hater. Show them little finger, show them your little finger, little finger. Show them your little finger, little finger. Show them your little finger. Government working, the government working, the government working, the government working, the government working, working, the government working. Now don't mix me, don't mix me, don't mix me. The government working. I don't do politics. Just get jacket, right? Get jacket. Walking, walking, they're walking. Them walking. They're walking. Now I said them walking. I don't mix me. I don't do politics.
This is Quincy Anderson. You know I love my country. There's no other country better than mine. Welcome to Guyana, land of 6 races, 6 different faces, and we all live in love. Guyana is a beautiful country, no other can compare. Got everything right here, so no other can compare. Guyana is made up of so many natural resources. We don't need no forces, cause we got enough resources. Let's talk about bauxite, gold, diamond, and rice. We got it right here. Guyana ain't going nowhere. We got enough oil too. One Guyana, I love Guyana. Guyana, my country, my home. The only place I call home. One Guyana, I love Guyana. Guyana, my country, my home. The only place I call home. Hey, hey, Guyana is nice, Guyana is fun, Guyana is clean, Guyana is green, Guyana got oil, Guyana got gold, Guyana got young and Guyana got old. I ain't talking no more. Guyana got things, we growing wings and developing things. The government real and that's a big deal. I'm singing from my heart, Guyana. I love Guyana. Guyana, my country, my home. The only place I call home. One Guyana. I love Guyana. Guyana, my country, my home. The only place I call home. Welcome to Guyana, land of 6 races, 6 different faces, and we all live in love. Guyana is a beautiful country, no other can compare. Got everything right here, so no other can compare. Guyana is made up of so many natural resources. We don't need no forces, cause we got enough resources. Let's talk about bauxite, gold, diamond, and rice. We got it right here. Guyana ain't going nowhere. We got enough oil too. One Guyana, I love Guyana. Guyana, my country, my home. The only place I call home. One Guyana, I love Guyana. Guyana, my country, my home. The only place I call home. This is Quincy Anderson. You know I love my country. There's no other country better than mine. Welcome to Guyana, land of 6 races, 6 different faces, and we all live in love. Guyana is a beautiful country, no other can compare. Got everything right here, so no other can compare. Guyana is made up of so many natural resources. We don't need no forces, cause we got enough resources. Let's talk about bauxite, gold, diamond, and rice. We got it right here. Guyana ain't going nowhere. We got enough oil too. One Guyana, I love Guyana. Guyana, my country, my home. The only place I call home. One Guyana, I love Guyana. Guyana, my country, my home. The only place I call home. Hey, hey, Guyana is nice, Guyana is fun, Guyana is clean, Guyana is green, Guyana got oil, Guyana got gold, Guyana got young and Guyana got old. I ain't talking no more. Guyana got things, we growing wings and developing things. The government real and that's a big deal. I'm singing from my heart, Guyana. I love Guyana. Guyana, my country, my home. The only place I call home. One Guyana. I love Guyana. Guyana, my country, my home. The only place I call home. Welcome to Guyana, land of 6 races, 6 different faces, and we all live in love. Guyana is a beautiful country, no other can compare. Got everything right here, so no other can compare. Guyana is made up of so many natural resources. We don't need no forces, cause we got enough resources. Let's talk about bauxite, gold, diamond, and rice. We got it right here. Guyana.
With Courdel Jones, you know it's gonna be real from 8 to 9, bringing vibes you can feel. News, views, and what's hot today will keep you wide in every way. Livewire, tune in and feel the spark. Every morning, lighting up your heart. Courdel's here, bringing life to your day. Monday to Friday, we're paving the way. Time to feel the flow. Turn your dial to Livewire, we're ready to go. With Courdel Jones, you know it's gonna be real. From 8 to 9, from 8 to 9, bringing vibes you can feel. News, views, and what's hot today will keep you wired in every way. We'll keep you wired every way, in every way. Livewire, tune in and feel the spark. Every morning, lighting up your heart. Courdel's here, bringing life to your day. Monday to Friday, we're paving the way. Stories that matter, we got the scoop. From the latest headlines to the local truth. It's your community, your voice, your power. Livewire hits you every hour. So grab your coffee, your tea, or toast. With Courdel Jones, we'll give you the most. Livewire, we'll give you the way. To the energy, the beat of the street, the show that connects, it's where people meet. We're wired to your world, we got the news. On Livewire, there's nothing to lose. Livewire, tune in and feel the spark. Every morning, lighting up your heart. Courdel's here, bringing life to your day. Monday to Friday, we're paving the way. Livewire, tune in and feel the spark. Every morning, lighting up your heart. Bringing life to your day. Monday to Friday, we're paving the way. Livewire, tune in and feel the spark. Every morning, lighting up your heart. Oh, Courdel's here, bringing life to your day. Monday to Friday, we're paving the way. Stories that matter, we got the scoop. From the latest headlines to the local truth. It's your community, your voice, your power. Livewire hits you every hour. Livewire, tune in and feel the spark. Every morning, lighting up your heart. It's your community, your voice, your power. Livewire hits you every hour.
I'm your host, Courdel Jones. Welcome back to Community Talk. I'm your host, Courdel Jones. Today, we're looking at a major shift in Guyana's housing landscape, the rise of the government-funded three-bedroom house. The Ministry of Housing is making significant strides. We are seeing the rollout of permanent, high-quality three-bedroom homes designed for modern Guyanese families. These aren't just structures. These are foundations of new communities. Each unit is built with durability and comfort in mind, featuring spacious layouts and essential amenities.
Well, behind me is the construction of a number of three-bedroom houses. In fact, we have 115 such three-bedroom houses being constructed, all by local contractors, meaning Region 3 contractors. We have a pool of 19 contractors that are building out these 115 houses. Overall, they are about 65% complete, and we're here to be updated where we are with the construction as well to reinforce the necessity to be completed within the timelines. We have persons who have been allocated and are waiting access to their new home. This is part of the development of Lenoro Grand Belt, as you rightly pointed out, where we have different categories of houses also being constructed. So you have both young professional, low income, or the three-bedroom, middle moderate income houses where we are now. We're pleased about the progress. Certainly, and as I said, it's all local contractors, and we're pleased about the better quality of work being done on this tenure of contractors.
Beyond the physical walls, this initiative is also a massive boost for our local economy, providing jobs for contractors, masons, and carpenters locally. This continues to be an exciting time for Guyana. As more families move into their homes, the spirit of community grows stronger. Thank you for joining us on this. Welcome to another edition of Community Talk. I'm your host, Courdel Jones, and today we are on site at one of the most talked about developments in the country, the Great Diamond Block 1 and 7. If you've been driving along the East Bank lately, you've been seeing the dust, the trucks, and the progress. What was once just an idea is now a reality. This transformation at Block 1 and 7 Great Diamond is a part of the government of Guyana's housing initiative that is moving at a rapid pace to get Guyanese into their own homes. The minister explained that the dream of home ownership for thousands of Guyanese families will begin right here in the mud and the asphalt.
We're here visiting because we want to assess what is happening. We've since had to retender those two sections. We will therefore publish the lots that are affected so that persons who have been messaging and they have been calling us to find out when will they be able to access their land, so that they can be aware of the lot numbers in which they fall. They can be updated as to when they will be able to access their land before the month of March is finished, to have the necessary awarding of those contracts so that we can have the infrastructure work be done as quickly as possible.
These are not just house lots. We're seeing a modern layout, a future commercial hub with proper road networks that will soon connect the entire area to other communities as well as the main highways. When completed, residents here will have everything they need right at their doorstep. The East Bank is changing, and Diamond is leading the way. That's our look at the massive progress here at the Great Diamond Block 1 and 7. It's a proud moment for our community and our country. Keep watching Community Talk as we follow the journey of these new neighborhoods. I'm your host, Courdel Jones, saying bye for now.
Sorry. Right, just confirm we got audio there. Morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Livewire. It is the 25th of March, 2026. Thank you guys for joining the program. Please go ahead and share the live so that we can have the widest viewership possible. Morning to all the persons joining us across the 10 administrative regions. Morning to all the persons joining us across the diaspora. Special good morning to the persons joining us in the comment section. Thank you guys for your continued support, and do remember to share the live. As promised, guys, This morning, we're focusing on one of the most transformative sectors in Guyana's development story right now, and that's housing. Because let's be honest, there was a time when housing meant waiting list, uncertainty, and people wondering if they would ever get through the system. But over the last few years, that narrative has been changing and changing rapidly across the country, from the East Bank to the East Coast to Region 3 to Region 6, and even deep in our hinterland regions, we've seen a massive expansion of housing development. Thousands of Guyanese have received house lots. Entire new housing schemes have been opened, and critical infrastructure like roads, drainage, water, electricity is being rolled out alongside those developments. And that is the key shift. This is no longer just about distributing land. This is about and building communities, right? Now, what we're seeing is a transition from policy to execution, from plans on paper to projects on the ground. And at the center of that transformation is the Ministry of Housing under the leadership of Minister Colin Crowell, driving what many would describe as one of the most aggressive housing programs in Guyana's history. Backlogs are being tackled. First-time home owners are getting real opportunities, and affordability remains a central focus, ensuring that housing is not just for the privileged, but accessible to ordinary, hardworking Guyanese. At the same time, there has been a deliberate push to bring development beyond the traditional areas, ensuring that regions 1, 7, 9, and others are not left behind. And importantly, there's a growing partnership with the private sector, helping to accelerate development and expand housing options even further. So today, this morning, we're not just going to be looking at promises, we're looking at progress. How much has actually been delivered? How is the ministry keeping pace with the demand? And what does the next phase of housing development in Guyana look like? To take us through all of this and to speak to the people directly, like he normally does, is the Minister of Housing, the Honorable Colin Crowell. Minister, good morning and welcome to the program. Thank you for taking the time to join us this morning.
Good morning, Courdel. It's a pleasure, as usual, to be always on your program and always be given an opportunity to speak extensively or as much as possible of this People's Progressive Party civic program, one of our massive programs for the people of Guyana that impact directly the lives of all of our citizens, that makes people's lives better, that brings betterment for our people, that creates opportunities for our people, employment opportunities. And that's what the Ministry of Housing is about, people-centered.
Yes, definitely. Minister, I usually say to persons that your ministry is one of the hardest working ministries. When you have the outreaches, the staff work way into the night. There's usually a rush because everybody wants their house lot, but you guys push through, you get it done, and you've been dealing with backlogs and new housing schemes and all of that, which we'll get into this morning. So first of all, Minister, when you look at 2026 so far, what would you describe the pace and the scale of the housing development across? How would you describe the pace and the scale of the housing development across Guyana right now?
Nothing less than what you've been seeing for the last 5 years. Well, you have to say 6 years, but nevertheless, what you've seen for the last 6 years. And that will even more ramp up much more. And so that already our 2026 program, we're currently implementing those. We have our target for this year. In fact, if you go to today's daily, you'll see we have advertisement out for tendering for new areas for which we'll have to ensure that the infrastructure work is done. So these are opening up of new areas for the first phase infrastructure. If you followed us for the last from somewhere around mid-February to now, almost every Saturday and during the week we have signing of agreement of sales as well as for the processing of the title. And that has been ongoing. And so these are all part of
ensuring that you have complete home ownership. So sometimes what persons see is the glamour or the smiling faces when they're
Right.
being allocated. But around all of that, it's a lot of work. Around all of that has preparation. So if you go back to the initial phase, you have to have a plan. You have to have the infrastructure work done. You have to have the recorded plan. You have to have
Right.
the necessary preparatory work done to do the allocations in terms of categories. So you have low, moderate, medium, high. You also have on the post end when we are ready or we are at that final stage, you have the signing of agreement of sale, as I mentioned. You have
Right.
for the processing of signing for the processing of title, and then that is done in conjunction with the registry. And so sometimes, persons complain, I'm waiting on my title. We take the flak, yes, but some of it obviously is that we have to await the volume that is being processed now. When you're accustomed doing a minimal amount in the previous years, you're doing tens of thousands now, and that's a big
Right.
difference. So even on social media, when you have somebody's probably giving their feedback or their testimony, or they're giving an acknowledgement that yes, I'm happy that I have my land. I'm happy now that I have my agreement to sale. I'm happy, or if I have my title, I'm happy that I can access my land. You will have a number of posts or comments below that.
Right.
What happened to X area? What happened to Y area? What happened to myself? I'm awaiting, etc. So, but that's because of the volume. I mean, we didn't in the last period, as you've said so many times, we did 50,000 in the last period. We were targeting over 75,000 to be targeted on this period. Well, that's what the pending applicants are.
Right.
Now, we've committed that all of the regions, we will clear backlog for all of the regions and then work to reduce Region 4. Region 4 pending applicants of that 75,000 is about 50,000. So you'll recognize, the volume is in Region 4 because that's where majority of the population reside. That's where the hub is. And we also have a lot of persons who are from other parts of the country or the region have been asking for Region 4 too. So
Right.
we have had to address that in a measured way, because the reality is we have to address people who are living here in Region 4. I mean, when we go
Right.
more in details, I can give you some of the regional plans that we have. But I just wanted
Right.
to make the point that a lot of work is happening. And then at the same time, we have specific exercises, as you said, outreaches, etc. At the same time, daily persons are also coming to be serviced. So where does that leave the staff? The staff still has their daily work. They still have their reports to be done in the afternoon. So, generally they don't leave early or leave promptly at 4:30, as we would say. And then recently, for the last couple of weeks, in order to move the agreement of sale and to process for title, we have had some Saturday exercises that has been continued. So for some specific areas, some new areas that are now able to sign. So that has been ongoing. So there's always anytime you visit the Ministry of Housing, you will always find persons here. And it's not that persons are not getting through. There's a persons who are, one, following up probably on their matter. Two, they're now coming to move to the next stage, that they would like to have their work, their matter addressed. But there are always persons here at the ministry. It's a very busy ministry. And so sometimes I ask for persons for their patience, because, we have a lot of work that we're doing at the same time.
So, Minister, you spoke a bit about backlog just now. Persons were hearing that the ministry is at 2019. Is the ministry at 2019? Yes, no. If not, where are you at right now? And just a projection on probably in this year or by next year, where do you think you'll be in terms of clearing that backlog?
Sure. So all of the regions except Region 4, we are working for 2025 and prior. That's what our target entails for all regions except Region 4. With Region 4, as you quite rightly said, when we went somewhere up to the earlier part of last year of 2025, we are working with 2019. We are now moving that to 2021 and prior. That's what we'll be working with as a priority. In fact, As I speak, the staff is doing the necessary preparatory work to allow us to do some Region 4 allocations. We already have, so I want to make this to your note to your listeners, because whenever your listeners, the listeners hear that we may have an upcoming activity, they tend to come to the ministry and trying to ensure that their name is there, etc.
Right,
We
right.
we already have we have been compiling over period. Sometimes persons who are following up, persons through the necessary portals, through the necessary responses, sometimes from outreaches, presidential outreaches, etc. So we have those names of persons who are prior to 2021 that have been following up, that we've been compiling. So
Right.
we obviously will remove based on our target. We have also now set up a portal that allows you to verify that once you're 2021 and prior, you can go there and then you can verify that you are a pending applicant. Sometimes people think that they are a pending applicant, and they may not have completed their application process, or probably send their form somewhere, they do the interview, and to their self, they're thinking that they're an applicant. So we do have that for verification. So to answer your question in short, for Region 4, we're starting now as 2021 and prior. The other regions, we're aiming for 2025 and prior. And our target on this year, well, first of all, we can't speak about allocations without talking about the other major program that we are committing for this period.
Right.
And we have not spoken about this in a major way, but we have now as part of our manifesto commitment, and that is the construction of houses, Courdel. So we have said in this period, this 5-year period, we expected to build at least 40,000 houses. Now, for those 40,000 houses, the beneficiaries obviously have to come through our system. So the persons some of the persons who are being, or most of the persons who are going to be allocated, are going to also be the beneficiaries of the houses on our housing program. And so that can quantify, and that will be part of our overall clearing of our target.
Got you. Now, before I move on, Minister, one more thing. For persons overseas-based Guyanese in the diaspora who may have came home during some period and applied for a house lot, if they have a foreign number there, does the ministry call that number, or do they need to have a local contact, or what happens there?
So the way how we have been doing, I'm happy you raised this. So the way how we've been doing allocations, we have been doing this in batches. So we have the names listed, and then we call in at a particular day, or if we have a dream realized activity, then we call those persons for the particular period. And we do not call the US numbers, because for those, the assumption is that those persons are living here. Because for me, the priority has to be that we are addressing the persons who are here, that have bid their time and are waiting. But as a Guyanese, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. As a Guyanese, you can apply. That's that's part of being a Guyanese. So in terms of their application process, that is completed locally, meaning Guyana, depending on the regional offices or the head office, whichever region you're in, and the allocation is done in Guyana. So physically, they will have to be here. We do not do third-party allocations, so you have to be in person.
Got you. Now moving on, Minister, we've been seeing an expansion across East Bank, East Coast region, 3 region 6. How deliberate is this national spread?
First of all, we have to recognize Region 4 is only Region 4, the size of Region 4, it's still the same size of Region 4, right? So, and we have in the past, a lot of the massive housing program was focused on Region 4. So therefore, it means that the availability of land keeps reducing. And so as a result, we have to have further spread. And then the availability of lands is also dependent on competing interests by government for other sectors. And I speak here now, for example, agriculture, for commercial, industrial land use, etc. So the opening up of new lands, therefore, means that you have to go further out. So most of the massive program that you've seen For example, you've seen a lot of expansion in Region 3. And Region 3 will be continuing to grow even this year because we have the Wales development and as well as the close vicinity to, well, as you know, you have to pass Canal number 2 to get to Wales. So within the close vicinity of Canal number 2 and Wales expansion, even more lands are being opened up for housing development. And then you have on the west coast of Demerara, where we have a number of houses going to be built within the proximity of Lenora, Grandvelt, etc. So a lot of the massive region, the expansion program has been Region 3. And then for Region 4, you'll see a billing out on the highway, Soesdijk Highway. So for example, you have, if I could go in a stretch, you have the Silica City, phase 1 already, we have 110 houses. And then we have already started the infrastructure work for the phase 2. You also have Haruni. That land development is the first phase is complete. So we are dealing with addressing now in terms of awarding for the building of houses. We have the Hyde Park, or we commonly call Yarracabra, and that's where the homestead houses have been built. Now we've started the allocation of the homestead houses that sometime by the end of this week, we have some more allocations that will be done for persons who are pre-qualified, and that is tied in with an economic model, brainchild of His Excellency the President, of the Shade Houses program. So it allows a particular target of our population, or a vulnerable sector of our population, for persons to earn, and they work, they are the lower end, they work, and then they can also earn as a supplemental for the Shade House program. You know, this isn't something we've been encouraging as a government for people that you don't have to, it doesn't matter what category you are. This is not applicable just for lower end, but encouraging persons, it's okay to get involved and to diversify and to expand or upgrade yourself to be able to have another job or another, side business so that they can grow. That's okay. That's all right. Also, moving onwards, we also have the development of St. Cuthbert's Mission that will be coming on stream. So St. Cuthbert's Mission, the infrastructure work, that is part of the list today that we have advertised. We also going, and then we have along the Long Creek and others that we are looking to develop. So the Soesdijk Highway, in a massive way, will take up a lot of our Region 4 program for going the other side of Region 4, that's outside of East Coast, because East Bank in itself, we've reached to the allowable limit for development on the East Bank of Demerara. So, because most of the initial phases was done at East Bank of Demerara. Now, East Coast of Demerara, however, we do have further development that will happen. That's where the next exercise of allocation will be focused for Region 4. I want to say to your listeners, I'm using this to give some punchlines of some of the issues that I see coming through. Some of the persons who are asking for transfer and persons who are asking for relocation, etc. We have been conducting investigations because you don't want to displace, nor do you want to provide the opportunity for the pending applicants who are existing, right? And likewise for the years, so persons who may think that they're trying to put the word cheat, we're not by parliaments, I can use the word cheat the system of if they're a different year, I'm thinking that because I may be another region that I can apply in Region 4, then you have to satisfy the Region 4 years, right? But the Haruni, Yarracabra, Silica City, those are our immediate focus, and St. Cuthbert's Mission will be our immediate focus within now as I speak and over the next 2 years.
Yeah. So, Minister, speaking about this national spread I asked you about, is the goal now more so that we're seeing more and more incidents of squatters being displaced because they didn't go through the process? Is the goal to move away from these unplanned settlements to build structured, modern communities? All right.
So let me dissect what is happening in terms with squatting. First of all, I always say this, and we must always start with this point, that squatting is illegal and squatting is wrong because you are occupying on a land that you have not been legitimately been placed on or you have no ownership for. We must establish that as a baseline. Because sometimes when we speak about squatting on regulated areas, informal settlements, whichever word you want to phrase you want to use, sometimes we forget this. Now, having said that, we recognize in the past you would have had scenarios, we've had different challenges, etc. So we've said no new squatting will be recognized. We already have logged the areas for which we have to address. When I say areas, will be general areas as well as maybe some dams, etc. So that is one aspect that we are addressing in terms of squatting. Then there's another aspect where development, which is where you're asking. For the purpose of development, we have to, persons may be legitimately have to be removed, or they're squatting and they have to be removed because they are part of being addressed and they're in the way. It means we cannot regularize them. So let's use that example. We had to build the Demerara Harbor Bridge. We had to relocate persons from Petersall legitimately. We had to build the 4-lane highway on the Heroes Highway that is passing through the vicinity of Mocha. Those Caneview residents did not have legitimate ownership for that portion of land. We had to move them.
Right.
We had to widen for the connection of the Aubrey Barker Road, the widening of the Aubrey Barker Road to put it connected to Ogle Highway. We had to move persons. Persons were encroaching. We had to legitimately address them. So it's an ongoing exercise. We have persons, for example, I'm giving you areas that are in the news. So you have, for example, Jovera Park. Jovera Park, those persons they are there illegitimately. They do not have ownership. So they have to be moved because one, yes, we're doing development, but they're also part of the relocation because they cannot in any shape or form be given legitimacy to live there since they're occupying the dam, the river dam. So river dams, the beds, etc., those are considered zero occupancy areas. We go now to the Ogle development where, well, the line that is between Ogle and Cummings Lodge, some people call it along the continuation Cummings Park, etc. Those persons are occupying a dam that in no shape or form that would have given them legitimacy to stay there, to live there. I see all kinds of comments that says, instead of working with people to encourage them to do the right thing, which we have been addressing them, by the way. I mean, I received a letter from Ogle Authority because it's of a concern. We have been addressing them. We've, in fact, some of them have already seen their land where we have allocated them. Many of them did not apply. Now, Courdel, this is something that we must always highlight. You would expect that if I'm a squatter, I want to be able to be benefited, and I say to you, I do not have a land, but I'm trying to get a land through the government's process. But then when you check that person, they have not applied.
Not in the system.
So that was what happened with many of the persons on that Ogle alignment. They did not apply. So we have engaged and they've done so now. And we are doing the relocation. Now, I always speak about squatting to remind our listeners though, while we have an aggressive regularization squatting relocation program, this is not being done at the displacement or at a disadvantage to the regular applicants. I always have to say this because to the regular applicant who is abiding and is waiting their turn, and their prior years especially, when they hear us speaking about squatting, they would always say, well, what happened to me? So I want to say this, they are being addressed through our formal way, and no one will be left behind. Very, very clear. I want to say this. And then there are some matters that whereby when we address the area, we recognize that we can proceed with the regularization, which brings me now to Mocha. So we had a number of persons who were squatting to the southern part of the known Mocha area that you know. And they occupied over 6 fields. Wow. We didn't have ownership for that portion. But nevertheless, we engaged both Gaisuko and Nisil, and we were able to acquire 3 of the fields to be able to regularize persons. Now, what that means, when you're regularizing, we also have to take cognizance of of the occupants. So we have how they are occupying the area. So we have the drone shot, and we have our plan, and we superimpose that. But in doing a regularization, you have to cater for future expansion, which means they will then move onwards to be recognized as a community. So it means they have to have roads and the utilities. The road has to pass somewhere.
Right.
The utilities has to pass somewhere. The drainage has to go somewhere. So sometimes you have to shift persons in order to regularize. So there are few may have to be shifted in that portion. So the Mocha area, for example, those persons were squatting. We said we will regularize them. It's about over 209 within the 6 fields. The persons who are on 4th, 5th, and 6th will have to be moved. We have already started the breakage and movement to bring them in part of the 1, 2, and 3 field.
Right.
And that's what it entails. And that process, you know, when you have opposition element that are going to communities not because they want to really see betterment for people, but they just is opportunistic, want to make trouble, want to think that going to hype on the emotions of people that, you know, that they're doing something right without saying to please do the correct thing, please cooperate with the authorities. We have not, in the case of Mocha, it's not a case that we're putting out anyone. Once they've gone through our process to be able to apply for a land, and because it means once they don't have any other ownership, then we have been moving onwards to our community development. They will be addressed. So the right thing will be to please work with the Ministry of Housing and your matter will be addressed. But no, you go on the ground, you stir up trouble, you say all kind of things, and you know, we're about ensuring that we want to bring betterment for people. We're not happy. You think we are happy as a government when you see communities that does not have a development? You see persons living in a particular way. Do you think we are happy about that? And so certainly we want to work with everyone, but there's a right and a wrong way to do things.
Right. Now, Minister, I want to turn to infrastructure a little bit. And I said this a couple of days ago when I was doing an intro to this program this morning. A lot of people don't realize that the Ministry of Housing builds roads, drains, and things like that. So one of the major shifts people are noticing is infrastructure coming with land. Roads, drainage, utility. Talk to us about how important is that transformation.
We have to put this into context and history, Courdel, before I answer you. Mm-hmm. People ask, what are we doing? You know, yes, they like to use this term. We're in Dubai, we're in the oil and gas country, etc. What is happening? What are we doing?
Right.
What are we doing on the housing program? You have every budget measures that are put in place to bring alleviation to our citizens. And I'm just talking housing, not just general government today, just housing. So whether it's the increasing of the mortgage lending ceiling, whether it's removal of VAT for the construction materials, etc., these are measures we've been putting in place. Similarly, we have been doing more every year on our infrastructure front. So historically, when you were allocated a land, or when based on a design, because we do that on a design, we didn't have the luxury of waiting until land is complete. What happened is that you were allocated in 2026. When the 2027 budget comes, I'm giving you a practical scenario. If 2027 budget comes, the lands that were allocated in 2026 will then be on the 2027 budget. After that budget is passed, what happens? You go out for tender to do that for the area. And then because the length of time it's taking, because remember, these are virgin lands. These are lands with no development, zero infrastructure. Many cases, access is not there. So you have to do the access and then go to the area to do the work. It takes you into another year. It will take you into 2028. What has been happening? What has been happening, because we have been able to garner more resources, because our president has ensured that housing is part of a priority of this PVPC government, we are able to do more on the infrastructure front. So from the time, for example, those areas where from the time we are allocated or we have the design and we know that we can proceed on an area, we then start all off by tendering for those areas for the infrastructure work. So you don't have to wait 2 years down the line. That will be done by the time you're allocated within the year in which, if it's very early, or maybe a year and a half, no longer than a year and a half. Now, a listener may say, well, I am in block 1, Great Diamond. I'm in a particular area on the west coast of Demerara, or I'm in Burma, and I have not been able to see my lands for the last 3 years. That's accurate. There are 5 areas that we have identified, and we visited, in fact, the East Bank and the West Coast. So I'd highlight that we've had to terminate those contractors, and we've retendered those areas. So except those few areas that I'm alluding to, Block 1, and there's a section in Block 7 on the East Bank, on as well as West Coast of Demerara and Burma, as I said. The other areas you have access. And that is what is happening now. Persons are accessing their land more. So, for example, even Wales development that came after, pure persons have started to access their land. And we have even been able to start the signing for the area. So, for example, areas in Wales, for example, Friesland, Laurentina, Katarina, and Wales, we have started signing for those areas. So we are doing much more, and the volume, in addition to new areas, we're doing it faster, is the volume at which we're doing.
Right.
Put into context. Let's put this into context. 2015 to 2020, 7,534 allocations done on the APNU. Then 2020 to 2025, 50,000 allocations. The persons who were allocated within the last year and very close to the last year have now started to see their land, and they have already even started to sign for the agreement of sale. So, for example, since February, we have areas such as Lusignan Phase 1, Lusignan Phase 2, Good Hope Phase 2, Lenora West will be by the end of April will be signing. So these are areas that are persons of access, and they're signing for their new areas. We are doing that tens of thousands more than what we were previously doing. And that's why when someone says, I have not seen their land, I have not seen my land, or I have not been able to sign, you have to weigh that versus what we were doing. And then you'll understand the context of what is taking place here at the Ministry of Housing.
Now, Minister, is it safe to say we're moving from simple allocations to building fully serviced communities?
Yes, absolutely. So there's another aspect that the government is focused on, and this will not be housing alone. You have the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development, the Ministry of Public Works. As part of our tripartite, we are part of what is called for community enhancement, community development, beautification across the length and breadth of our country. Now, you have a Georgetown program, a specific Georgetown program, that for which is tied in with the work that is being done in conjunction with the King's Foundation. You've heard His Excellency the President spoken about that. And part of the transformation of Georgetown with the orange economy that you've heard about too. So you'll have a lot of access, you have museum, you have a lot of recognition of arts and craft, etc. So, and then you have the redesign in terms of laying out of Georgetown with the drainage, some of those walkways, new walkways, walk paths. We want to create walk paths in Georgetown so you can move from one end to the next. So that's part of development Georgetown. But let me go to the communities now. You have recreational facilities. We have set the minimum, His Excellency the President has set the minimum standard for what the recreational facilities will be like. So the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sports is also playing a role here. Then we have beautification, that entails with ensuring that the parapets are maintained, the drains are clean, tree planting exercises, beautification, etc. That will be part of the building out of the community. So you have not just receiving your lot, but is working with the community to ensure that, one, they have a safe space that they can go in their village, that they can, one, recreate, maybe like people like myself who need to do some exercise, or you can have that safe space for taking your children. You have that nice community where you have trees, etc. That, you know, fruit trees and so forth that you can have well laid out in a village.
Right.
Love communities that you can feel welcoming for. That's what we want to build out. And so
Right.
you'll see we have just restructured our community development, in fact. And so one arm into two arms. One will be focusing on the beautification and enhancement, and the other will focus, as I said earlier, about the relocation, regularization, squatting arm. So that will be as part of our mandate and focus. Yes, we want to have, and in our layout too, Courdel, designs for communities. I want to say this. Sometimes you see those open spaces. It's not there because we want to leave lands idle for anything else. You have to cater for future expansion. So, for example, already, before the week is finished, we'll have to engage the Guyana Police Force because they have reached out. They have to be cognizant of our planning so that they can plan for their expansion. I'll give you an example. LBI and one other location, I think it's an Enterprise, for the setting up of two outposts for support for the community in terms of their security, because we're expanding. So the Guyana Police Force has to know where are the new areas coming so that they too can plan. Or they may need to strategize to say, well, rather than build an outpost, I may need to build a police station instead within a particular location. So we'll be engaging them. We've been working closely, obviously, with Guyana Water Inc. We have monthly engagements with them too, because it may be a bit easier, Courdel, for me to have the infrastructure work done to allocate. It will take a little longer for the water expansion. That's a different aspect. And so
right.
So we're working with them and Guyana Guyana Power and Light, so that they are part of our expansion program. So they are kept abreast of what is happening, because this also informs them how to prepare their budget for their current work program and their future working program. So the short answer to your question, though, yes, it is safe to say that we're working to build out communities, and you'll be seeing a lot of this happening. And I want to also recognize another partner in this development is the Office of the First Lady, because you'll see us working closely with the Office of the First Lady in a number of parks and recreational facilities across the length and breadth of our country.
Yeah. No, Minister, beyond land allocation, I do know the ministry has been giving assistance to Guyanese in terms of actually starting their building process, the steel and cement voucher. Talk to us a little bit about that. And also, if you can touch on the turnkey homes and the core home programs. Talk to us about the impact of that for these first-time homeowners as well.
So in 2022, at the opening ceremony for the International Building Expo, His Excellency, I want to take you back a little. His Excellency, the President, would have announced an initiative that sees foundation support in the form of steel and cement voucher program. So that was subsequently implemented, and we have persons who have been coming through, applying, etc. And then it involves an inspection aspect, because we have to see, once you qualify or not. On that program alone, let's say it's about 2023, somewhere around March of 2023, we started. The full implementation, that is. That program has seen close to $1 billion.
Wow.
Invested on steel and cement initiative across the length and breadth of our country, not just Region 4, may I add. Now, what are we planning? So we've recognized, and a lot of persons too, not just us, but when ministers, when the president, the vice president, prime minister, everybody goes out, persons have been coming to say, yes, you have your voucher program, you have a foundation program. But what about me, whereby I am struggling? I just need a little support. I just want a little support to assist with, for example, to change out my window, to help to complete my building. Or I've taken a loan, and I just want a little support to complete the construction. So So that is whereby you would have heard the initiative of a $7.5 billion housing support program in the budget this year.
Right.
Of that 7.5 housing support, we have $2 billion that has been set aside for the Hinterland housing program. Right? So Hinterland is not left behind. And so the Hinterland housing program will have two aspects. One in terms of material support as well as the construction of houses. So that's one. The other aspect we'll see, therefore, the continuation of the steel and cement initiative. We may broaden the materials that you can acquire or to be able to uplift with that voucher. So you have some aspect of core homes. Now, you've asked about the core homes. I want to tie it in here. The core home program was being implemented with a project through the Inter-American Development Bank, the Adequate Housing and Urban Accessibility Program, that had a subsidies aspect of it, a subsidies program, as well as construction of core homes. Now, those persons had to meet a particular criteria to be able to be eligible. And so they had to be earning within a particular bracket. Their land costs had to be within the low income. So you were responding to a particular segment of our population. So that project officially in terms of the bank level has come to an end. We are in the final stages of, we've just in fact last week handed over the last set of houses, and we have 3 recreational facilities in April to be able to, that we'll be handing over on the Neming, Horstelling, and one other on the east bank of the Emerald. So we have three recreational facilities. And then we have, for example, the other one is at Covent Garden, that is. And then we have this material support on that, whereby persons were given supported materials to help with their home. We did an assessment. We want to capture some of what we were doing there to incorporate as part of our program, Courdel, as part of this home support program moving forward. So it's not just about building new homes, but it's also giving support to persons who may need to change. Or for example, a step. Sometimes you see buildings and then, they just need an assistant with a step or help with a window, something like that. So you'll have some aspects of that. We have not formally announced these initiatives in terms of how we'll implement them. That will be done in due time, I would say very shortly. But that is part of what we'll be implementing this year as part of our budget program. Now, in terms of houses, so the core homes were a particular type, a size, etc. under that program. Now, the housing program has different kinds of sizes of houses. So you have what is called the 2-bedroom low income. You have the 3-bedroom, which can be both moderate and middle income. Then you have on the higher end, the young professional, as we call them, young professional homes. They can be both flat and elevated. And those will continue, however, and remember how it's implemented. It's implemented through the banks, in conjunction with the banks. So they have to have a pre-qualification aspect of it, whereby they must be eligible. They will have a pre-qualified bank, and then we allocate. We are currently engaging with the relevant contractors who will be billing out the first set of houses on the 40,000 home program. And so in a major way, in a few months, you will see a lot of that happening, because we have identified some of the land area where this can be done immediately. And so you have, for example, we'll be on the West Coast, we have the Haruni, as I spoke about, you have Silica City, you have LBI. LBI goes there now. Already road work has started. Concrete road is already in the first phase. And that's a massive development of a number of over 500 young professional houses, and we still have more to be built. So we'll be building out within the LBI. You have the homestead, as I said earlier, on the highway. You have, for example, at Palmyra, when you go across the bridge at Region 6, you see already we have over 100 2-bedroom houses, and we have 100 young professional houses being built. But there's a massive area that is catered for future housing development at Palmyra. So we'll be building out in Region 6. You will recognize as part of, and even the Palmyra area, the vicinity of Kanji, as part of the national program for Region 6, with the expansion one in terms of the deep water port, the oil and the landing of a next, when you have the next pipeline, as well as for connecting with the Brazil connection for trade, etc. Region 6 will be the future of development for us for a country. And then you have, for example, in Region 10, Wakwani, we'll be building out some houses, as well as Wisma. We have catered for the construction of houses, and we want to also test Madia and Essequibo. I forgot Essequibo. We're doing some in Essequibo. We have never built. We have never built on the houses. They did have a housing program before, but that's with Food for the Poor. That was done in what's called Red Village. But we'll be building out some houses there. We have already engaged contractors, and we'll be building in Essequibo. So it doesn't matter which region you are, you'll be part of the housing initiative. The reality is, Courdel, most of the persons coming in now, people who really and genuinely want to have their home as quickly as possible, have been coming to us to say, can I get one of the houses? Because rather than go through with the land and dealing with contractors and all other ramifications, it's much easier for them to just go to the bank, engage a bank, to state to the bank their earnings and whatever else they need to show the bank, get a pre-qualification, come back and be allocated. It's easier for them that way. So we recognize that. We recognize that as a government. So, and that's why we're responding with a housing program too.
Right. Now, Minister, I know we're running short on time, but I have to touch on the hinterland. We're seeing expansions in Region 179. How important is this to ensure that development reaches every part of Guyana? And is this a part of the broader push to eliminate inequality in terms of access to housing nationwide?
So the last period would have had Regions 1, 7, 8, and 9 of building out of 400 homes. And in fact, in Letem, we have a special housing program there, an initiative of whereby with the clay blocks, the houses are built to the tune of $3 million. The beneficiary, the government of Guyana has been contributing $1 million, and the beneficiary has to, through the pre-qualification process or how they're paying it. If they're paying cash, their contribution is $2 million. So you have a special initiative in Letem. But this period will not just be confined to the hinterland villages of Region 1, 7, 8, and 9. You also have other riverine areas, for example, that are considered hinterland. For example, if you go to certain parts of Region 10, you go to the Pomeroon Region 2, those areas, you will find those are also considered hinterland. So the hinterland program, as I said, will not just be the construction of the houses, but will have some aspect of the material support. And already too, the villages themselves have been using the LCDS as part of the initiative. So to answer your question, Courdel, absolutely. It does not matter where you are. It doesn't matter which village you're living in. It doesn't matter who you voted for. It is to ensure that whether it's from the hinterland, you equally can have the opportunity like those on the coastland. The difference is we can't do the necessary co-housing program the same way in the hinterland because of this land ownership. Those are communal lands. Those are village lands. So you can't lodge that to the bank. And that is why we have a special initiative to help directly in the communities. But certainly, not just housing, but in every other aspect of what we're implementing is to ensure that you have equality.
Right. Now, Minister, in closing, some critics may say housing promises take too long. But when you look at the scale of the delivery today, do you think the facts speak for themselves?
Yes, absolutely. And one of which two persons have been saying to me, well, why not develop the area and then you allocate? But the reality is, Courdel, we have been responding with pending applicants. More persons are now applying because they have reached the age. We don't have the luxury of waiting to do that. And there are a number of simultaneous activities that are happening. And we want to be able to respond as quickly as possible. So yes, we're doing much more than what we've been doing in the past, and that must always be taken into context. And say, yes, we've been responding, and that is why, for example, I started saying, by we'll shift the Region 4, we'll be moving up the years for Region 4 to 2021 and prior, and that won't stay obviously for at that level too. And once we reach to a satisfactory response, then we'll be able to move the years upwards and keep counting.
Right.
But you have ongoing whereby persons have been being shown lots every day. Persons are signing for their lands every single day. So that is continuing to happen. And every region is being affected in a positive way. Look, for example, already, we have not had a big fanfare. But for this year already, although with no fanfare, we have already allocated about 800 lots in 2026.
Wow.
Since we've come into office from September, well, we were sworn in on September 13th, since from then to now, we have already distributed or allocated over 1,300 lots.
Wow.
And without any fanfare, no noise, because we have also been responding to the regions. So our regional engagements will continue, and I want to say this to your listeners too. Whether it's Region 2, 3, 6, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, we will continue to have outreaches to the regions. We will continue to respond. We're not just a Region 4 Georgetown-based program, which is why, for example, last 2 weeks, you would have seen us introduce, or had them publish the schedule for the rest of the year. We've introduced a Kwakwani outreach, so people on the other end of Region 10 can engage the staff once a month. You don't have to come to Linden. As of today, we've introduced the Corriverton end of Region 6 outreach. So every month, once every month, in Borby's case, it's going to be the last Wednesday of every month. The staff will be in Corriverton for persons within the Crabwood Creek, Mawson Creek, 75, 76 Corriverton areas who have their land matters can engage the staff. They do not have to travel to New Amsterdam. And we're bringing services closer to our people. And that is what we'll continue to do. The ministers will continue to engage. But if you give me one more minute to do my final wrap-up, I want to say this to our listeners. A lot of persons have been reaching out to Minister Ben and myself. We want to see the minister. You ask the question, well, sure, but what do you want to see the minister? I'm following up on my house lot allocation. You don't have to see the minister for that. We want the system to work. And that's why we're putting the systems in place so that once you follow the system, you must be able to be serviced, you must be able to be tended to. And even at the regional offices, they have register for persons who are prior years that are following up, that they take note of those persons that are coming to follow up. So we know these are active, these are persons that are here, and these are persons that we should tend to. So we have our internal mechanisms too that we've set up. What we want as ministers just to be able to deal with maybe challenges, issues that are not being addressed or are part of the problem solving routine. To see someone routinely day-to-day for a simple housing application, etc., it won't cut it, because if you go that way, then you have over 75,000 persons pending applicants. We'll have to see. I don't think they'll have enough hours for the day, and we won't be doing problem solving.
Right. Minister, I want to thank you for joining us on the program this morning. You've always been ready and willing to come and talk to the people. Before I let you go, I don't think this is out publicly, but I think tomorrow is the launch.
Sure.
Soft launch for Building Expo.
So International Building Expo 2026 is going to be coming upon us very soon. Tomorrow we have it's the media launch, and we'll announce the date for Building Expo International 2026. Under the theme Guyana at 60, building strong foundation for a sustainable future.
Great.
This is our 60th anniversary, and we have a lot of activities planned out as part of our 60th independent anniversary. Tomorrow will be the formal launch, and then all roads will lead to International Building Expo just after that.
Yeah, I know a lot of
the formal launch. The media launch will be at the Railway Courtyard. I'm sure. I'm happy if you could be there too, Courdel, at 5. And of course, we'll have a grand formal opening at the actual International Building Expo, which, His Excellency the President will be the feature speaker.
Exactly. Great. Minister, thank you for being here. Let me let you get back to your busy schedule. Once again, thank you for taking the time to talk.
Busy Wednesday.
Yes, thank you for taking the time to talk to our viewers and the nation at whole. Continue the great work you're doing at your ministry, and kudos to your permanent secretary, your minister within the ministry as well, and your staff. Thanks again, Minister.
So on behalf of Minister Ben, our CEO, PS, and the entire staff of the Central Housing Planning Authority, we want to say to our listeners that we are here to serve. Sometimes we just ask for a little patience because it's a lot of work that the staff is entailed. Oftentimes they're working beyond the call of duty. They're working beyond normal working hours. Many weekends when persons are off elsewhere, they are here doing their follow-up. But we want to ensure that they do not have to visit here frequently, do not have to visit at all. And we want to ensure that they are also served. So thank you very much.
Okay, Minister, thank you and take care. That was Minister Colin Crowell, Minister of Housing, taking us through the paces there on what's been happening in the housing sector, the development that is moving apace, and giving you an idea of some of the logistics and how the whole process works. So you can understand now that you may have been allocated, but after that allocation, there's a process of land preparation and all the things that go into it. I noticed in the comments some persons were talking about not receiving their titles as yet. But if you go back to the beginning of the program, the minister makes it clear that's a collaboration between the ministry and I think he said the deeds registry the deeds registry. So what that means is, whilst housing, you collect that title from housing has to send that to the deeds registry. There's nothing they can do until that title is sent back to them to be given to you, the landowner, right? Again, very informative program. Please share it for those persons who may be going through the housing process. It may have some information that can benefit them. We had a little scheduling problem, so I just want to let you guys know on Friday we will be having Minister Susan Rodriguez instead of Minister Sonia Prague. We'll have her in the new week. Just like Minister Crowell, taking you through the paces, talking about their ministries, the impact they're making, the direction they're going, and how they plan on changing the lives of the Guyanese people through these various ministries. That's all the time we have for today. Please go out and be productive out there. If you missed anything on the show, rewind and take another look at it. The housing minister is very informative as always. And, he may have shared some information that will help you through your application or housing process, right? Marisha Sami, special good morning to you. Trouble. Anyway, guys, I am out of here. And as I usually say before I go, it's all about peace. It's all about love. It's all about one.
We are a peaceful people, struggle as we struggle, and we don't look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue saki, not one rice grain, not one grass, not a blade of grass. This